Welcome to this Java Break with Basis. In this session we'll cover mixing and matching Java and BBj. By blending these together we can create and deliver world-class business solutions. So what are we going to cover in today's session? We're going to talk about Business Basic in the 21st century. What are the components of the product that we deliver? We'll talk about Java and BBj interoperability, why it's important, and which language does one use. We'll have a look at the history of the evolution of Java and BBj functionality and touch on what's coming up. And finally, we'll look at BBj and Java interoperability in action. So let's talk about Business Basic in the 21st century. It's now a modern language. It incorporates object-oriented code syntax capability, and that's very powerful. It means you can take a developer that's been trained in the latest tool concepts and the latest language concepts and put them to work with a language that has been around for many years. It's platform independent. The solutions that are developed can run on Windows, on a Mac, on Linux, on various flavors of Unix, AIX, etc. And you can have a heterogeneous deployment environment. You have your choice of user interface from character to GUI, and coming up soon, the ability to run in a browser. The product incorporates powerful development tool sets, including Barista, a data dictionary-based application development framework, and the Basis ID, the integrated development environment that incorporates Business Basic specific functionality, but also allows one to do modern application development using code versioning systems, as an example. We also deliver system administration tools via the Enterprise Manager, and we have a scalable, stable database management system, which also incorporates the ability to have relational database management types. And newish to the language is an additional focus on utility functionality and application building blocks, and we'll touch more about that when we look at the product in use with Java. Let's have a look at the interoperability of Java and BBj. Why is it important? Well, each does their part. You get the opportunity to take the best of both worlds. BBj delivers rapid business application development. It delivers a database management system and the deployment infrastructure. BBj shields the developer from the minutiae of worrying about versions of Java, about the components that are deployed, about making sure that backward compatibility is maintained. And Java libraries offer pre-built functionality, which BBj can take advantage of. And of course, BBj lives on top of Java. So which language do you use? Well, the answer is you use them both. Barista for rapid application development, BBj for more advanced features and business logic, and Java for your additional low-level functionality and to leverage the libraries that are available in the community, be they open source or be they paid for libraries. Let's look at the history, the evolution of Java and BBj functionality. In the first version of BBj, we gave you the ability to embed Java code in your application. We then gave you the capability to call BBj code from Java via the Java BBj bridge. So your business logic, your business processes could be exposed from third-party Java code. In 2006, we delivered BBj custom objects to the language, object-oriented code structures. We gave you the ability to invoke Java client-side objects from within Business Basic, within BBj. And more recently, we've given you the ability to implement Java interfaces. In the current version, you have the ability to take that code that would have had to be written in the past in Java, and you can write it in BBj custom object code. Coming up in the next release of BBj, we're going to give you the ability to extend Java objects using BBj custom object code. And we'll also give you the ability to deliver your application in a browser user interface leveraging Google's Web Toolkit. Okay, let's move on and look at some practical usage of Java libraries within our business application code.
Now that we have some background in the interoperability between Java and BBj, let's take a look at where we'd find some Java libraries that have the functionality that we'd like to incorporate into our BBj application. Usually, to find these libraries, it's as easy as opening up a browser and going to an appropriate website. We listed some of those websites here. One is the Java source sourceforge.net website, another sourceforge.net, and yet another is code.google.com, and in particular the Google Collections, which is just a library that extends the collection library of Java. Also, you can do a Google search. You'll be surprised by the number of hits that are returned by just Googling the keyword Java plus the functionality that you're interested in. Also, you can check the libraries that are installed with BBj. We, for example, by default, install the POI library, which is a library used to create Microsoft Office documents, which includes Excel documents and Microsoft Word documents. You can also use the iText library, which is used to create PDF documents. There's also JFreeCharts, which is used to create GUI chart controls on the client, and many, many others. So let's take a look at one of these websites. Open up our browser here, and I have a shortcut going to javasource.net. And let's just scroll down through here, and as you can see, it's broken down by functionality. And lo and behold, there's actually the JFree chart, which we said that BBj provides by default. And it gives you a listing of what it is. It's free, which a lot of these source libraries are, which is really nice. And this includes the functionality, for example, pie charts, bar charts, scatter plots, Gantt charts, and so forth and so on. So it's a very powerful library. Now that we've determined where to find these Java libraries, let's figure out how we access these Java libraries in BBj. This is simply done by running the BBj Enterprise Manager and selecting the Class Path tab. At this point, you must determine if you want this library to be accessed globally. That means any program that's running in BBj services, or you'd like to set up a name class path, which is simply a name that's associated with one or more jars. And then when you run the BBj program, you specify the -cp command line argument to BBj, specifying the class path name. For example, I'm invoking BBj with a -cp class path of JDict, which would include the jdict.jar, and running my web browser app.bbj. Now let's run Enterprise Manager and take a look at the class paths. So you run Enterprise Manager and you log in. Once logged in, you'll select the Class Path tab. You will notice the class path names. The default is the global class path, and any of these jars that are in this class path will be global in the sense that they'll be accessible by any BBj application running in BBj services. If you don't want that scope, you can always set up your own named class path. For example, these show webservice.bus, webservice.cocos. Specify whatever jar you would like to in those, and when you run BBj, you simply just specify the -cp command line argument and give it that name. Now that we've shown you how to access Java libraries in BBj, let's move on to some BBj applications that utilize Java libraries. One such BBj application is the Demos Launch Doc. This application was first introduced at TechCon 2007 to showcase some of our new functionality. It utilizes the Java JNA library, which provides the window transparency. It also utilizes SwingX and Timing Framework Java libraries, which provide the animation support. This launch doc is now provided as a BBj utility, so it can be accessed directly via BBj code and can be used to launch your application. We actually use this as basis to run our production applications. Let's take a look at the launch doc application in action. As I mentioned, this is a BBj application that's taken advantage of the JNA Java library to do transparency. And as you can see right through this window to the desktop. That's the transparency. This application also uses the SwingX and the Timing Frameworks Java libraries to do such things as animation. So as we move our mouse, we can see that the icons grow. That's part of the animation that these libraries give us. Also, as we go into the menu system here and select an application to run, it actually bounces the icon. That's also part of the animation. As I mentioned, you can add your own applications to this launch doc. So let's see how you do that. All you have to do is right mouse click and select Add Remove Programs. This will bring up an editor dialog that allows you to remove and add programs or rename them or whatever you want to do. So let's go ahead and go in here and let's add a program. You can add a folder or a program, so let's add a program, and let's go ahead and just add Notepad. And we add a description, which is going to come up. Let's say runs Notepad. And for now, I'm not going to give it a custom icon, and I'm going to say it's a Windows executable. And since Notepad is in our path, we can just say run notepad.exe. Okay, now I'm going to save it out and close this. As you see, it's going to refresh, and sure enough, there's my new application called Notepad. And when I click it, sure enough, Notepad runs. So you can add applications, other BBj applications, or Windows applications, or just any application that your OS can run. One of the Java open source projects that we're really excited about here at Bases is called Jasper Reports. It's simply a report writer that's based in Java. It comes with a tool called iReport, which is used to design and lay out a report. It also contains an engine to fill the report design with data, usually with an SQL statement. What we did here at Bases is created a utility called BBj Jasper. It provides our customers the ability to access the Jasper Report functionality with straight BBj code. What this means is it, in the past, been able to get a Jasper Report functionality, but you'd have to use embedded Java. We also extend the functionality of Jasper Reports, such as we're able to save the report on the server or the client side. We also simplified the Jasper Report API in the utility. We also created a utility called BBj Jasper Design, which is used to create basic reports, much like their iReport tool. One thing that's interesting about Jasper Reports is that they also use third-party libraries, such as POI, to save out the report in Excel spreadsheet format. So we're not the only ones that are jumping on the bandwagon and using Java libraries that are already created. So let's go ahead and take a look at the BBj Jasper Designer utility. The first thing you'll notice in the BBj Jasper Designer is a tree to the left. And the top node, or root node, is the report node. Another node that's in there is the configuration node. In this node, this is where you can select the name of the report, or the title of the report, and we'll just keep it ad hoc. Then you can select the template. The template can be one of three types: tabular portrait, tabular landscape, or columnar. We'll go ahead and keep it tabular portrait. In the next edit box, you can select the report file that's going to be created on disk. By default, it's created in the temp directory. It's going to be the same name as the report with the .jrxml format, which is really just Jasper Reports XML. The next node, you'll see databases. And this is where to get our list of databases from. And at this point, we haven't used the Jasper Reports library at all. This is strictly BBj code. Okay, so in this node, we can select the host and the port, the user and the password. And this is where the file system server is that we're retrieving the databases from. So let's go ahead and expand the databases node. Under there, we see the databases that are on that machine. And in this sample, there is 4. So let's go ahead and select the Chili Company database. On the Chili Company database, we see that there's tables and procedures. Let's go to expand the tables, and this lists every table that is in the Chili Company database. Let's go ahead and select the category table. Once we select the category table, we see to the right a panel that shows the fields or the columns that are contained in this table. For example, there's the product category, description, cost method, cost account, sale account, and invoice account. The next column allows us to include or exclude that field on a report. So let's go ahead and deselect the invoice account number. We don't care about that in our report. The next column allows us to order by, which basically puts the report in the order of that field. Let's go ahead and order it by product category. The next column just shows us the very first record in that table, just to give us an idea of what's going to be on the report. At the bottom of the screen, you can see that there's the query being built. It's being built by the options that we selected up here above. But if you do know SQL, you're welcome to go in here and modify or add to this query. So at this point, we still have not used the Jasper Reports library. This is strictly BBj code that is giving us a list of these tables and providing for the query. But now we're going to go ahead and run the report. Okay, this is just a message box saying, hey, you're going to overwrite your JRXML file that's on disk. And since it's just a demo, we're going to go ahead and do that. And this is where it's actually running Jasper Reports and making use of the library. Not only did Jasper Reports get the JRXML file and fill it with data, or our SQL statement that we provided, it also brought it up in this nice viewer. which has the ability to save the report, print the report, reload the report, and if there's multiple pages, it would allow us to navigate. We could also change the formatting of what we're viewing to fit the page or fit the width, and we can zoom in and zoom out and specify the zoom level. So here's our report. It has the report name or report title that we specified. It also shows the SQL query that was used to generate this report. And it shows each of the fields that we selected to be on the report. And remember, we deselected the invoice account and it's not on the report. Then it shows the contents of the report. And we did also say ordered by the product category. And as you can see, the product category is alphabetically ordered. So as you can see, using this utility, the BBj Jasper Designer, it is really easy to create ad hoc reports and ad hoc report templates. So you can give your users this utility right out of the box and they can create reports as necessary. Or you can change the utility, since it, of course it is a BBj utility that is not CP'd, so you can change the source code. Or you can use the BBj Jasper API and go directly and create your own report utility. Another example of using Java and BBj that we'd like to illustrate is using the POI library to create Microsoft Office documents. There's an Advantage article that explains how to do this, and in this article it explains how to create an Excel spreadsheet, in which that Excel spreadsheet can be created on the client or on the server. This particular article was written by Sean Haney in the version 12 of our magazine that was released in 2008. The title of this article was appropriately named Quick and Easy Solutions with Free Java Libraries. This article points out where to find the POI library, in this case, and the poiapache.org website. This article points out that we could have gotten this data into Excel by running Excel and of course using our BBj OWC driver to pull the data from the basis DBMS. This article goes on to offer another solution, which is use the POI library to generate the Excel spreadsheets that can be opened up at any time. As we scroll through this article, it shows us where to find the library, as well as incorporating this library into BBj so it can be accessed, which we've already gone through. So we'll go ahead and keep scrolling down. This article points out that you can explore the jars or the classes inside those jars by adding it to the IDE. And you can then use code completion when you're accessing the class files. In fact, it even shows us the code completion as well. As we continue to scroll, we see that here's the source code. So let's take a look at the source code. It looks like it's fairly simple. First, we have to use the use statement, which basically gives us access to the class which is in the Java library. So in this case, it looks like we're going to be using a workbook, a sheet, a row, and a cell, which makes a lot of sense. This is an Excel spreadsheet. It looks like we either specify the file name where we're going to save this Excel spreadsheet. It looks like we're going to save it in a directory Work Advantage and sales.xls. And what we're looking at, this is BBj code using object-oriented syntax or custom objects. We're declaring some variables here, and declare is a keyword used to declare an object variable of a certain type. And what that provides is when you do CFS bang dot, you will get a list of methods for that object. And you can just simply select it, which is what we call code completion. So we continue on with the sample. We finish up with our declares. And then, in this instance, we're actually getting the client file system from ThinClient. So what that means to me is this spreadsheet is actually going to be saved on the client rather than the server, which in the case of reports or Excel spreadsheets makes a lot of sense to save them on the machine of the person that's generating the report instead of on the server. It creates the workbook, creates the sheet, creates a row in that sheet, and then creates cells within that row. And we're also setting a couple cells to hello world. And this, of course, is when we're using their Java library. We then write out the file. As simple as that. What is this, 10 lines of code? We just created an Excel spreadsheet. So I implore you all to take a look at this example and see how easy it is to create the spreadsheet. You can also create a Microsoft Word document as well. And again, Advantage articles can be found in our Advantage magazine or online at the BASIS website. Other examples of using Java and BBj include faxing and emailing. With faxing, we rely on the rfax library. With emailing, we use the JavaX mail package that's included with Java by default. And with email, we also created a BBj utility so that you can email calling directly into BBj code instead of having to embed Java code. So why is this important? Well, it provides cross-platform solution. Many of you probably already have applications that use email, but you're probably, if you're on Unix box, using SendMail. If you try to port your application to a Windows machine, that wouldn't work so well. So if you use email, that is a BBj utility that's based on a Java library package, it'll work on any platform you decide to go to. Let's go ahead and take a look at the BBj application that uses the email package to send an email. In this application, you'll notice that it has a button to send the email, ability to specify to address or addresses, and to be able to carbon copy someone, and a subject line, ability to attach a file, and of course the message text. So let's go ahead and add myself as the to address. And I'll go ahead and CC my boss, Dr. Kevin King. And the subject is, well, let's just do, here is the file you requested. We'll go ahead and attach a file, and we'll go ahead and attach this program. And the message, I'm just going to tell them this is a test. And now that I filled out everything, I'm going to go ahead and hit send. And sure enough, I get a message box confirming that my message has been sent. So let's go ahead and take a look at the source code for this program. And by the way, you can always right mouse click on the launch dock and it'll show you the source code of the demo program that is being run. I'm going to right mouse click, and sure enough it brings up the Basis IDE and shows me